Always open up with this so you can start to have easier conversations, which means people making the right decision for themselves, even if that's not working with you, but they don't even have an option to make the right decision if we don't have proper conversations. Because the last thing we want to know is someone came in, we didn't have a good sales conversation, you find out they go have surgery that they could have actually prevented, all because we weren't trained enough on how to convey the value of physical therapy. Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to be going over how to handle the objection of, do you take my insurance? So whether you're an in-network clinic and maybe you're going more out of network and you're trying to just conquer this because maybe this is something new to you, or maybe it's something you've been trying to conquer for a while, or maybe you're a cash-based clinic that you actually want to go after. And so if you are someone who is wanting to conquer this objection, because it's going to happen no matter what, if you're cash-based or in-network wanting to go out of network, this is going to be a very tactical video of how to overcome it, specifically when someone asks it right out the gate. Because I know you'll have had it where someone calls immediately, they don't ask, how's your day? They don't ask who they're even calling. It's just like, hey, do you take Blue Cross Blue Shield? And so if you run into this, you're going to have to know how to handle this. But if you don't do it the right way, you're not going to realize that you're actually pushing people away. And so what most people do is as soon as they say that, they then start to say, they either say no, and they start to justify why they don't do it. One-on-one care, 60-minute one-on-one. You end up having to not really have to worry about what the insurance dictates. All of these things that realistically, they don't know enough about to even care. And so that is not the way to handle it. Then the other option is someone says, oh, well, we do actually accept that. And then at the end of the conversation, you're going to have the awkward conversation of, hey, we actually are out of network. We may bill on your behalf, but like, yeah, we accept it. Really, the way you need to word this, because otherwise you're going to shut someone down and they're immediately not going to be giving you actual real answers, is you say, hey, we have a lot of patients who have Blue Cross Blue Shield. But before I actually get into the weeds of insurance and everything like that, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions to make sure that whatever you're dealing with is something that we can actually even treat? Because I want to make sure that we're being as efficient with your time as possible. What we just did there is acknowledge that they have the question. We're not saying we accept it. We're not saying we're in network. We say we have a lot of patients who actually have Blue Cross Blue Shield. This allows us to then essentially say, hey, you're part of the normal crowd, but I don't actually want to answer the question because there's actually a benefit for you to actually answer what I want you to answer, which is what's going on. That then gives us more ammunition to actually go down the rabbit hole of everything that's else going on. And so if we do it the other way though, and you say, hey, I'm a preferred out-of-network provider or something like that, or you say that you accept it, usually what happens a lot of times, either we have issues on the back end because we say we accept it, or we say we're out of network, and then in their head, they're just repeating themselves over and over and over and over again. They're like, hey, well, like, I need to find someone else because I want to use my insurance. I want to use someone else. I want to use someone else. So they aren't even really thinking about the questions you're answering or you're asking them. So then they're either giving shallow answers or they're not even really going to give you answers at all, and they're going to hang up on you. And so if that sounds familiar, it's because we haven't actually handled this right. Because then at that point, we can now actually come in and say, okay, well, what have you tried before? What are your other options? Is this something that's been kind of gradual over time? Or is this something that's something kind of all of a sudden? Like that's going to pretty much time down no matter what of needing your help. We want to find out urgency, what they've tried, what their expectations of physical therapy are, where they're at, where they want to go. And if you have even just all of those things right there, it doesn't sound like much, but now we actually have some real reasons to figure out how do we then transition into actually saying that we do not take their insurance. So if you don't conquer that one though, it's not going to matter how you transition. It's not going to matter how you position the fact that you're out of network. None of that matters. So try that out. Let me know how it goes. And I guarantee you, it will work significantly better if you start doing it that way, because you can start to have real conversations, figure out what's important to the person, not insurance versus not. And if someone still hits you on the front end of there and they're like, no, I just need to know, like, do you take my insurance? You can tell them yes or no. And if you say no, that's okay. And if they're like, or like, like a little bit, and you can kind of already sense it, the other question you can ask to really like cut through everything, if they're not willing to kind of go down the, hey, I've got this shoulder pain, I got this whatever, you say, but out of curiosity, is using your insurance or getting the best possible outcome your main priority? Because when you say that, there's only three things that they can actually say. It's outcome, which if we can't close that person, we probably have some issues. If it's insurance, they probably actually won't be a good fit, because first, it's really unreasonable for someone to actually say, like, I don't even care if I get better, I just want to use my insurance. Because that's essentially what we're implying, is the use of insurance therefore means you will get bad actual results because it's not the best possible outcome. And it'd be one thing if it was like something else in their life or whatever, but health, not many people want non-best outcomes. And so the more common thing that someone's going to say is, well, I mean, it depends. And so from there, we then have to figure out, well, okay, well, what does that depend on for you? And literally just ask them that. It's like, well, what does that depend on for you? Because for some of them, they're going to be like, well, what's the total cost? That one actually maybe is a financial objection. Some of them are going to be like, well, how often do I have to come in? How certain are you that you can even fix it? It's like, okay, well, let's dig into that. Some of them are going to be like, well, it depends. I mean, like last time I tried physical therapy, okay, then you got the real things. It's like I had a tech the whole time. I felt like I was switching between people every time. I tried physical therapy at another place, it didn't even work. It's like, oh, okay. Like there's more ammunition to start having genuine conversations. Because if we get stuck at the very start of, do you take my insurance? And really, even if someone's in network, you should be doing the same thing. Even if you say, yes, we're an in-network provider, but before we get into the weeds of that, do you mind if we ask you a couple questions to make sure it's even something that we can fix? You're always wanting to dig, even if they're in network, like don't lose those lay down sales. Like it's actually surprising how many in-network clinics don't even handle like a, hey, I want to get physical therapy. Like they don't handle that because they just assume this is a lay down sale. I don't need to ask the same question. So always open up with this so you can start to have easier conversations, which means people making the right decision for themselves, even if that's not working with you, but they don't even have an option to make the right decision if we don't have proper conversations. Because the last thing we want to know is someone came in, we didn't have a good sales conversation, you find out they go have surgery that they could have actually prevented, all because we weren't trained enough on how to convey the value of physical therapy. So if this was helpful, drop a comment down below. Let us know what was your biggest takeaway here. If you want more training like this, just let us know. We are also doing a challenge that's going to be coming up in about 2 weeks. So May 7th at 8 Eastern, that's going to be our challenge to help you get more new patients, more profit, more providers. If you actually are interested in that, just put fill your practice below this. I can send you the link to that. With that, we also are giving you access to over 350 videos in our private community. So if you're seeing this in the Facebook group, that's actually not our main private community. There's a whole nother community where there's 350 videos with about 40 of those around sales with more stuff just like this, as well as 2 free group coaching calls a week to where we can actually help go over any of your calls, go over any of that. Like it's literally a free mastermind. So if you're not in there, even just signing up for the general admissions of our actual challenge that we're going to be doing on May 7th, you get access to that. So if you're interested, just comment, fill your practice below, and we can send you more information on that. And then I'll see y'all in the next one.